You are now listening to the Artist King podcast.
Episode 19, Artist King podcast. I'm your host, DTM. This week, we share the Artist King panel discussion part 3 from this past Tuesday, September 23rd, titled, Who Defines Good Art? The panelists were Floyd Hall of WonderRoot, Neal Hamilton of nealhamilton.com, and Milton Davis of mvmediaatl.com. In this podcast, we will hear the complete panel discussion as various important lessons and experiences are shared, plus questions from the audience are answered. This panel discussion is part 3 of the 8-week Artist King panel discussions going on around Atlanta and includes Burnaway, C4 Atlanta, and WonderRoot. The next panel discussion is Tuesday, September 30th at WonderRoot, and the panelists are Jennifer Lobsenz, WonderRoot Program Manager, Flux Sing of cfluxsing.com, Kevin Mr. Soul 216 Harp of MrSoul216.com, and Amond Jackson of SalemPsalms.com. The panel discussion will center around art and activism. For a complete listing of the panel discussions, please visit artistking.org/2014.html. We want to thank our Artist King sponsors for their continued support throughout the year. The law offices of Deborah Gonzalez, Atlanta Tech Village, C4 Atlanta, WonderRoot, Burnaway, RevolveSkate.com, and Velocity Screenprint. Now on to our panel discussions. So welcome everybody. How are you doing today?
Okay.
Yes? All right. It's not so hot anymore outside, so we're going to get to enjoy the fall a little bit. And hopefully the fall stays long enough before the cold comes in. Because we want to enjoy that in between period. I'm welcome you to Artist King. Artist King is 8-week panel discussions where we discuss the business of art. We bring a series of panelists to come and talk about a specific subject, and I ask the questions, they give us answers, and we all benefit from their experience and the path that they have taken to get here in their career, and we learn from them. Hopefully we benefit from the lessons that they learned in order to continue on our path and make it further. The space today is sponsored by WonderRoot. They're one of our sponsors, so it's C4 Atlanta, Atlanta Tech Village, and Burnaway, along with Binders. So next week, we're here at WonderRoot, and then we're back in Burnaway, and then Binders. But check out the website, artistking.org, and you'll see the whole listing of all the events. So I'm going to introduce the panelists. Each one, I'm just going to say their name, and then we're going to clap our hands, and then each one will take 5 minutes to tell us a little bit about themselves, what they're working on, what they've worked on, what they've done to get here, and what is it that they're doing, and then from there we'll start the question and answers. The subject for today is who defines good art. I'm going to try to keep the theme based on that. Any kind of questions that we can learn on that theme. But at the end of the panel discussion, if you have questions on your own, we'll open the floor. And hopefully we kind of stay in that theme because each discussion has its own particular subject. So if you have a question that's related to one of the other panels, we want to hold on to that for that specific panel. But go ahead and there will be a period for asking questions, all right? Okay, so without further ado, my name is Daniel Flores. We have Floyd Hall, Neal Hamilton, and Milton Davis. So we're going to start from that end to this way and give them a chance to introduce themselves.
Okay. My name is Milton Davis. I am a writer and publisher. I own a small micro publishing company called MV Media LLC, where I publish fiction, science fiction, and fantasy based on African and African American culture and traditions. And that's all I got right now.
We'll have more by the end of the show. My name is Neal Hamilton. I am CEO of Pay Now Loud LLC right now. I'm a retired photographer for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. 10 years in with working about all these celebrities. And I feature basically, I specialize in celebrity art right now for a lot of musical artists. Right now we have a lot of musical charities and other merchandising companies that are all merging in with us. So that's a little bit in short run of what we do. Oh, the cross out. Yeah.
I'm Floyd Hall, and I am the Interactive Media Manager here at WonderRoot. And in that role, I manage, oversee, not even oversee, I think I integrate myself into our digital footprint. So whatever happens with WonderRoot in the virtual world, I play a role in that. I also produce our podcast that we've been at that for a year and 9 months now. We started at the beginning of January 2013, where we feature lots of conversations like this, where we talk about art in Atlanta, we talk with artists in Atlanta, and we also talk about our programming. So if you had a chance to ever hear any of those conversations, there's a good chance you probably heard me involved in that. But yeah, I'm glad to be in this conversation with you all.
Awesome. Well, I want to welcome you all. And I want to know a little bit more because I want to expand a little bit on what you do and who you are. So tell us a little bit about your experience and what got you near the arts and the art form, if you have an art form, and why you're here at WonderRoot on this.
Sure. I mean, I think that we are all artists in some way, so while I don't claim an art medium, if you will, I think being here and being able to be creative, to me, is my art. I have a background in radio and TV broadcasting. I have a background in business, and those two things kind of merged and helped to get me along my art path to here at WonderRoot. And one of the things that I love about my role here at WonderRoot is that I get to interface with pretty much every aspect of what we do, whether it's the actual art center or the organization beyond the actual art center. So for a lot of people who may be hearing this for the first time, WonderRoot is a place, but it's also an organization. So we do a lot of things outside of these walls, and I take a lot of pleasure and joy in being able to interact with people who are involved in our programming, as well as the artists who work here in our community art center. And because of that, I'm able to hopefully push our presence out into the world and help more people learn more about what we are, who we are, and what we're about. And just as a mission, our mission is to unite artists and community to inspire positive social change. So in any way that we can go about doing that, that's what we're working toward.
And whose idea was it to do the podcast?
I talked with Chris Appleton. Chris is our executive director. So Chris and I were having some conversations about interactive media, and I felt like that was a growing space for not just WonderRoot, but a lot of entities, whether it's individuals, brands. I feel like being able to produce your own content is very important, and that's a much better way to demonstrate what you're about and who you are than just telling people. So we talked about it. We have the capacity to execute it, and we've been on a roll ever since. And for us, it's been a way for us to have conversations around what we're involved with, because a lot of times, if you only read what's on the website, on any website, not just our website, but on any website, you'll read it and you'll interpret it and you'll proceed. But through the art of conversation, much like we're having tonight, you're able to hear and feel more about what the subject matter is. And when we talk with artists, we can delve deeper into their art practice, into their creativity, when we're having conversations around art in Atlanta, we're able to have very nuanced conversations about those things that maybe don't play quite as well with just a website sort of static representation. So the power of conversation was something that we really thought we could leverage to push, help just sort of supplement, I guess, our mission.
Got it.
In a really engaging way. Hopefully it's engaging for those who listen.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Mr. Neal Hamilton.
Very good. I've been in art for as long as I can remember. The moment I picked up a pen or a crayon as a child, I've been in the arts very seriously. And from there, my parents enrolled me in the Cleveland Museum of Art school classes like 10 years old. Kids were out playing. I had to go to art school, but it was okay. You know, so I mean, so it just kept snowballing. I love it. I was always, in the creative field. So as I got older, I got into the illustration world. I became, an illustrator, one of the top, firms in Cleveland at the time. And then, of course, we all started getting together with friends and saying, we need to start our own company. So then we started our own commercial art firms, back in the mid-'80s. And then after we ran, had a good run, that for a while, got our name out there pretty good. And then that's when I got the call from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They were getting ready to build that, and they asked me if I wanted to be their photographer. And I'm like, okay. How much? I'll take it. Okay? So I had a lot of fun doing that, but then that actually awakened something else in me. I love music so much, then all of a sudden I found a way to integrate my art with the music and the musicians I was on tour with and working with all the time. So that love, those two loves came together to create Pain Out Loud, actually. So now I spend all my time working with nothing but musical celebrities. I mean, I do other things, but that's my focus, and that's my love and passion. So we've done a lot of great merchandising with a lot of great artists. I've worked with some of the best there are. And right now we have our charitable company, which is called MNN Guitar Project, which I hand paint custom guitars, and then major celebrities autograph them, and then they choose the charities that the money is going to go to. So last couple of years, we raised over $250,000 in charities, and we've done very good. Even Sir Paul McCartney was one of them. Santana and people like that came on board right away. So right now we're still growing. So I'm open and I'm happy to be here.
Cool. One day I'll get a chance to draw behind you.
Yeah, right. Sure, Dan. You're going to be on one, dude.
All right. Yes, sir, Mr. Milton Davis.
Well, I'm a writer because I'm a failed artist.
No such thing.
Actually, I grew up in a family full of artists. My two closest cousins are artists. Their nieces and nephews are artists. And when we were younger, they were trying to teach me how to be an artist, but after a couple of failed attempts, they decided to just get rid of me whatsoever and tell me to stay away from it. But actually, and I tell people, if I was an artist, if I could draw, I would have never written a novel, because everything I see, I perceive it visually, and my writing is very visual. I don't spend a lot of time, getting caught up into a lot of words, because I'm really trying to paint a picture when I draw. I want you to get that when I write. I want you to get that see that picture, and I've been told that that's what people see when they read my work, is that they actually see the images. They say it's like reading a movie, basically, and that's what I'm trying to achieve. I got into writing. I've always written off and on. Never really took it that seriously, because I grew up in a family where writing was cute, but you had to go get a real job. So whenever I did something that had something to do with writing, I really never paid a lot of attention to it, because it wasn't, it was just something that you did. It wasn't until I got in college when I really started trying to write seriously, because I was a chemistry major and I had an English teacher who thought I should be an English major, and so she encouraged me to write, and she encouraged me by showing me science fiction books, because I was a science major. Isaac Asimov, Heinlein, all the big science fiction people. And that's when I got the idea of wanting to write science fiction. I started my publishing company about 8 years ago. And I did it because I was 45, and I said, well, probably as a man, I probably got more years behind me than I got ahead of me. So I need to start thinking about some of the things I always wanted to do, and writing was one of them. But I wanted to write science fiction and fantasy that featured African American characters, because growing up I didn't see it, and when I did see it, it wasn't done very well, and it wasn't done very favorably. So I said, if I write this, I'm going to write it from an African and African American perspective. I studied the industry for a while, And I realized that I felt like if I was to submit this to publishers, that it wouldn't be accepted because that's not the way they see